Welcome back, Ronin Renegades. I'm Lupinefiasco, this is Daily FaB Gameplay, and today we are playing Cindra, Dracai of Retribution. For anyone who is new to the channel, welcome to the Empire. What we do here is review replays of games I played on the Talishar.net client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my games. I will talk through turn cycles as if I were taking them now, giving my thought process for the lines I would take, and comparing those to the lines I did take at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events and walk away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you like what you see and would like to try this deck for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see every new episode of Daily FaB Gameplay in your YouTube feed. I also have a Blue Sky, a Discord, and a Patreon, links to which are in the video description. Patrons at the Arc Lightning tier or higher will get access to all of my matchup guides for all of my deck lists forever, including this one. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into the gameplay. Having lost the die roll against -IO, we have been chosen to go second. That works to our disadvantage because we would like to be able to pressure Dio on turn 0, make sure that she doesn't have as much space as she might want to use items to pitch to play items off the top of her deck, or if she has a hand of all items, to actually push damage on her life total. But it does mean that we get the advantage of going second in an aggro mirror, so it isn't all bad, and if Dio does decide to attack us on turn 0, our hand blocks really well. We can block 11 points of value with this hand. We see Dash is on Hanabi Blaster, so her plan is just to go full aggro. Playing a zipper hit but not boosting it tells us that this is the last thing that Dash is likely to do this turn, unless she wanted to play an item off the top. The fact that she didn't boost and didn't play an item tells me that this card on top is probably a power card, Maximum Velocity, Spark of Genius, Cerebellum Processor. It wouldn't be Cerebellum because she would play it, so Spark, Velocity, and the fact that she is not following this up means that we can just get the worst card out of our hand, probably looking at Snatch and Lava Burst to block 5 here, just to make sure that we are pushing damage on our next turn with Oath of Loyalty and Hot on Their Heels. If we don't draw a blue, then we aren't guaranteed to be able to play this Lava Burst, but we'll see what happens. We definitely don't want Oath and Snatch in the same hand. We do luck into drawing the blue that will pitch for our kunai. So what we can do here, depending on whether we want to arsenal this Lava Burst or not, we have 2 lines. The first would be play Oath of Loyalty, pitch our Conceal Blade to attack with a kunai, then break the chain, put our kunai into discard, then with 2 resources, attack with kunai, attack with Burning Blade Dance, flick the kunai, and then rebuy both daggers and close end the turn. Arsenal Lava Burst. We cannot get both kunai back and play Lava Burst in the same turn because Oath of Loyalty needs to be our first action, and attacking with a kunai is an action. So we can't attack with kunai, close chain, then play Oath, Dagger, Burning Blade, Lava Burst, and play out the full hand for maximum value. So we're either not arsenaling this Lava Burst because we're playing 4 cards and only getting 1 kunai, or we are arsenaling the Lava Burst, and that's probably what we should do because we still have Spreading Flames in our deck. We have ways to benefit from having 5 cards. So what I would like to do is Oath, kunai, break, kunai, Burning Blade, flick, buy back both daggers, pass. And that is pushing a total of 10 damage from 3 cards and putting the Lava Burst into Arsenal. We'll see if that's what I decide to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking the other line, especially because If we oath kunai kunai Burning Blade flick Lava Burst, there is a chance that dash does not block the Burning Blade dance, and we get to flick the second kunai as well, meaning that we did get to play out 4 cards for maximum value and bought back both of our daggers. Dash using the Crown of Providence really early to turn her arsenal into a 5th card in hand looks pretty good for maybe hitting with this Burning Blade dance. Yes, Dash still has armor, but there is a decent chance that she doesn't use it. And if she is using it on turn 2, if this game ends up going a little long, then maybe we are able to capitalize on Dash having less armor to block something like a Snatch or block kunais ahead of a Salt the Wound. Not expecting to pick up any blocks here, but the fact that she's blocking the kunai is pretty good. I guess she's expecting that we would look to Salt the Wound. Not my intention. Definitely not looking to break the chain so early, break Pouncing Link so early. Some sequencing hiccups there as we experiment with Cindra and how to play. So Burning Blade Dance is either going to get a card from Dash's hand or is going to get adaptive plating, which would be really good. So breaking a kunai with Flick Knives, and then we even get to break our second kunai with Burning Blade Dance. This was the best turn that we could ask for. Is this where I want to break Pouncing Links? The answer is no. We have not put that many hits on the combat chain, and we would be salting the wound for... I don't know if I like that play. I might have wanted to Lava Burst there. There's no real disadvantage to throwing it there. It isn't like we have a Shuko that we didn't benefit from or that we wouldn't get the trigger on. The Lava Burst is always 5. It's just a question of, do we want to fire it off that turn or this turn? And Spreading Flames is really the only thing that we get out of Lava Burst. I think I would have wanted to attack with it there just to make sure that we could. Because if we've got Dash with a 5-card hand, we know she had a power card on top of her deck, which is why she didn't boost with the zipper hit. And if she's giving us armor just to try and sustain, it tells me she's got a real Scorcher coming up. And I think playing the Lava Burst there would have been better just to make sure that we get our value from it. As far as Expedite, it's weird because Dash didn't play an item on turn 0, which tells me that she didn't have one in hand. But she also did not boost off the top of her deck, so maybe she drew into an item, and that's what the Expedite is for. The fact of the matter is we can block the Expedite and still keep our 4 cards that will enable us to play Lava Burst. So I don't hate using Stab Wound for blocks instead of attacks. I just don't want Dash to be able to cheat in an item and an action point, especially if she's looking at something like Spark of Genius. Giving her multiple action points would let her grab something like a Cerebellum Processor, not crank it when it comes into the arena, be able to draw and keep an action point. So yes, Dash does get her action point back from cranking the Cerebellum, but it means that we only have to deal with 2 draws from Cerebellum Processor instead of 3. Dash finds a Boom Grenade off the top of the deck. That is horrible for us. She does crank as well as plays Fast and Furious. We just can't block this. This is the downside of Ninja having so many 2 blocks, and the fact that we drew 2 Rising Resentments and a Blaze Headlong means that we can't put a 3 block and a Flight Path in front of the Fast and Furious. This just isn't a hand that tells me that I can stop Dash from hitting with the Boom Grenade, so I'm not even going to try. And you can see we would not have been able to. We would have put 2 blocks in front of the last Fast and Furious, and then this one would have been a 2 block, a Flight Path, and Vest. And Dash still has 2 resources, a card in hand, and the draw from Cerebellum Processor. So we would have been really hard pressed to stop her from hitting with the Boom Grenade there. And finally, max fee for 10, we have to just take that. And so this is a hand I would like to just play this out. We've pretty hard committed to just playing out this hand. And what I might want to do with this, I definitely want to flick one of the kunai because I can. I have 3 Draconic cards, even if I don't play the Lava Burst. I can use Flick Knives on the Blaze Headlong, throw a dagger, then activate Cindra to buy the dagger back. It is a 3-card 11 that we can turn into a 4-card 16 if we want to. We could use our Vest after the first dagger hits to generate a resource to attack with the second dagger. The problem with that is that we just don't have a way to get the second dagger back. I would like to end the turn with both daggers up if I can, considering that we're still looking at using Pouncing Links, and we could draw into Wrath of Retribution, or we could draw into Spreading Flames, just cards that make me want to attack with both my daggers. I haven't seen my power cards yet, so I do want to keep both daggers available. But flicking the first dagger is just free in this situation. Let's see if I throw the Lava Burst. I would like to. I just feel like I'm running out of space to do so. And if I have to start blocking with cards from hand, then it means that I am much less likely to be able to Lava Burst. And as soon as this Lava Burst just gets stranded in Arsenal, that's when we lose the game. Drawing into a Warmonger's Diplomacy, a turn too late. If we had been able to play it on our last turn, that would have been fantastic for slowing down Dash. She would not have been able to use the Cerebellum Processor and attack us, for example. So unfortunately a turn late on that, which means that we're probably looking to block with it here. And as you can see, we are in a situation where we can't really attack with our Lava Burst for 5. We get better value out of our 2 blues by blocking with them than we do by using them for pitch. Or at a minimum, we get equivalent value from pitching that we do from blocking. And I would like to create a little space here to try and set up this Pouncing Links Lava Burst Flight Path turn that I've been setting up for the last few turns. I feel like I've just sort of boxed myself into needing to set this up, needing a payoff, as opposed to just having Dash be at 12 right now. I would much rather have Dash be at 12, especially if this was then a situation where we could block out with our hand and really punish Dash for having these 2 items out that she will lose at the start of the turn, so that she doesn't get to benefit from adaptive plating. We got a Pulse Wave Harpoon coming in for 4. We do not need to block with any of our cards. We are not forced to, because she only has 2 links on the chain. She's only boosted twice this combat chain, and we have 2 3 blocks in hand. The question is, what is Dash going to draw? She can still draw with the Cerebellum Processor. She could then, even with a red, pitch it into Teklo Foundry Heart, make 2 resources, use the backup protocol, and pick up a red from her discard, either play it or arsenal it. And I suspect we'd be looking at maybe even arsenaling the Pulse Wave Harpoon. So we're only taking 4 this turn. We can think about how we actually want to use this hand. Stab Wound is probably the most value we can get from this. We could also play the Warmonger's Diplomacy. So we could, for example, try to put Dash into a weird position where she can't play an effective hand by blocking this Pulse Wave with Stab Wound, then on our turn attacking with Brand, display Loyalty, and then playing Warmonger's Diplomacy. That might be the best way to get value out of this hand and try to create a little space. If we wanted to look at breaking our Pouncing Links, then we are in a situation where we could attack with Brand with Cinderclaw, attack with Display Loyalty, Dagger, Lava Burst, Flight Path, Salt the Wound. We will have had 5 links on the chain leading up to the Salt, so potentially getting in for 7. Though it is unlikely, Dash has the adaptive plating and this Cerebellum Processor that she can turn into 3 block. Unfortunately, we don't get the opportunity to use our Vest resources, but it may just be time to go. So if we block this Pulse Wave Harpoon with either one of our blues, we take 1 point of damage, go to 12. On our turn, we send both head jabs, 3 points of dagger damage, Lava Burst, and Salt Wound. So just with what we have in hand, we're looking at 3, 6, 9, 14. Then we Pouncing Links Flight Path, and let's say we find 6 more points of damage. So we're forcing either a card from Dash's hand or armor, and it doesn't seem great. We're sort of running out of space, but at the same time we aren't even threatening lethal by sending a big turn, so what I might want to do is just sit on this Pouncing Lynx and buy a little more time, which tells me that I'm looking at blocking with Stab Wound, and then sending my 2 Head Jabs and Warmonger's Diplomacy. If I'm blocking with the Flight Path, it tells me that I might be looking at breaking Pouncing Lynx for a Blood Runs Deep, where I am maybe thinking about brand, display, pitch Warmongers for Dagger. At some point in there, break Pouncing Lynx, find Blood Runs Deep, rebuy both of my daggers, Dagger, Flick, Lava Burst, Flight Path, Stab Wound, and just hoping that Dash committed to blocks earlier so that she ends up taking like 8 from Stab Wound. I just don't feel like that's super likely. So we've got the zipper hit coming in for what I assume is 5 with Go again. Oh, sorry, Dash had the action point, so she doesn't have to boost. So we're looking at 5 from zipper hit, and then 5 from the Hanabi Blaster, Dash choosing to forego the arsenal, and still has the adaptive plating with Cerebellum Processor available to block for 3. Dash being able to cover 5 with armor says that we are definitely not killing her this turn, and we would even have to give armor to stay alive. So let's just start blocking instead. We definitely want to block with both of our blues because they cover 3. So we're covering 6 out of 10 total damage, taking 4 going to 6. Do we want to go even lower than that? Both of our head jabs block for 2, attack for 3, but we kind of just need to stay alive. So it could be to our benefit. Honestly, it could be to our benefit to not attack at all, and I think that's the best way to use this hand, to deny Dash her adaptive plating value. We just block for 5 here with Diplomacy and Brand with Cinderclaw, and then we cover the Hanabi if Dash uses it with Stab Wound and Display Loyalty. If Dash chooses to sit on the Hanabi Blaster, then we get to send Kunai, Display, Lava Burst, Flick, rebuy a dagger, and make a fealty. I just don't love the idea that we're giving Dash her adaptive plating value. Because, like, if we keep Display Loyalty or Brand with Cinderclaw, just thinking, oh, we're sending 3 rather than blocking for 2, that doesn't actually get us value because Dash just blocks with adaptive. We are losing value on that deal. Okay, so I am committing to trying to send damage here. I don't love this line. Still, adaptive gets that 3 points of value by breaking Cerebellum Processor. And this could be a situation now where I'm looking to break the chain, and I suspect I will, so that I can rebuy both my Kunai at the end of this. We'll see if I'm going to keep that Lava Burst, or if I'm going to send it. I really hope that I send it. As I've said, I have hoped for turns now that I would send the Lava Burst, so we'll see if it's time for me to go. This is looking like it is going to be a Salt the Wound turn, so what I am now doing is attacking with Brand, flicking my knife, using Cindra to rebuy both of my knives. With my 2 floating resources, I will attack with both daggers, and then Lava Burst Salt. Lava Burst needs to come later in this turn, so what I am probably going to do if this Brand hits is break Pouncing Lynx, find Salt the Wound, which means that Dash knows we have it. The only thing she doesn't know is the card in our arsenal, so we want to sit on that for as long as we can just to hide value. If we say flick a knife here, then the fact that I didn't flick the knife means that I have screwed up my sequencing, because now I need to attack with a Lava Burst. I just want to hold the information for as long as I can. I don't want Dash to be able to calculate how much damage she's taking, which she can now do. Now she knows if she's looking at my board, if she's aware of Cinder play patterns, that I'm going to flick this knife, I'm going to rebuy my daggers, I'm going to attack with 2 daggers, and then I'm going to play Salt the Wound. So she can calculate that she is taking a maximum of 5, 6, 7, 8, 15, I believe is the maximum that she would take. And that's if the Lava Burst hits and if both daggers hit. We have 5 links on the chain, Salt attacks for 7. So if she's taking 15 damage, then she can say, okay, I need to give 2 cards to not be dead, whether that be 2 3-blocks from hand or a 3-block and the front half of Teklo Foundry Heart. It just gives her the opportunity to plan, which I don't want her to have. And if I had daggered, then maybe she is taking a little extra damage. Maybe she's going to block a dagger. I don't know. Maybe her hand is that bad. An important part of this process is actually using the flight path. Now, the good news about Flight Path, what I do like, and I don't know if I gave this enough credit when I was talking about the card earlier, is that you can use it in your damage step. With the new rules, you can use it in the damage step after damage has been dealt to give go again to your attack, so that you can then break Mask the Pouncing Links in resolution, and your opponent doesn't have as much opportunity to respond. So if I Lava Burst and Snapdragon, my opponent can play 2 defense reactions and deny me the ability to use Pouncing Links, and I have now used my boots. But if my opponent plays the 2 Sink Belows in response to my Lava Burst, I do not need to use my boots. I can just say, okay, I'm going to wait. This is not the turn for boots Pouncing Links. And if they take the damage, then I can boots, and they don't have the opportunity to stop the damage, to stop the links draw. We've got a zipper hit coming in for 4 with go again. I would really like to keep these 2 blues and Wrath of Retribution because I get to send a 3-card 8 with these. I get to pitch a blue to Cindra at the end of Dash's turn to rebuy both daggers. Then on my turn, I get to pitch the 2nd blue to play Wrath for 3 with go again. I get to attack with a dagger for 2 with go again. I get to attack with another dagger for 2 with go again. Flick the first dagger, rebuy the first dagger with Cindra, and then attack for 2. So I get to send, effectively, a 3-card 10. I could also send a 3-card 8 and keep the dagger, depending on what Dash is doing. We're at 3. We can give our Flick Knives and Blood Splattered in order to stay alive. We will see. But I do want to sink below this zipper hit, right? It is just the best value I can get with my Sink Below, and I am not going to sink. I don't want to turn a 3-block into a 2-block, and I do need both of these blues in order to play out my turn. So there's no reason to sink. I am happy with this hand. We'll see what Dash has to do with this last card in her hand, or maybe she can play an item off the top of her deck. We just have a Throttle coming in for 4, and now we are in a situation where we have to evaluate whether we are using our equipment to block. The problem with not using our equipment to block and using a card from hand is that if we use a card from hand, we kind of just can't do anything. So say our best block is Wrath of Retribution. So we would block with Wrath, we would take 1 and go to 2. On Dash's turn, we pitch a Concealed Blade and buy back both of our daggers. Then on our turn, we attack with Dagger, pitching Stab Wound, we flick a dagger, we can rebuy a dagger with Cindra. If we really wanted to, we could use our Blood Splattered Vest to cheat a resource and attack with the new dagger as well, so we're pushing 4 points of damage over 1/1/1/1, which means that we get at least a card from Dash, because she uses Foundry Heart to block one of the daggers and then has to use a card from hand to block a second dagger. But that doesn't seem very good. Whereas if we use our equipment, we go to 1 and then we push 8 points of damage, and I'd rather push 8 than 4. It is a bad spot to be in. We're missing 3 points of damage because we don't have flick knives anymore, and I should actually say we're pushing a 3-card 7 rather than a 3-card 8, because that 8th point of damage is contingent on us having flick knives. There just isn't really a way out of this, unfortunately, and maybe keeping Wrath of Retribution was a mistake. We should have just tried to turn it into a different red. If we can turn it into a 0 for 3, then it's actually kind of fine, and it means that we are a little more able to navigate having these 2-card hands, and we would still have armor. We'll see what we draw at the end of our turn. If the top card of our deck was something that could have gotten us out of that situation with another blue, I think this line is fine. We get 2 cards from Dash here. She has to block the Wrath. She can take one of the daggers, and then she has to block the second dagger, and she can't do it with Teklo Foundry Heart. Getting a maximum velocity from her is a little bittersweet. On the one hand, it is unlikely that she would have been able to play the max V at this point in the game, especially with another max V in hand. But at the same time, if she could have played the max V, we just die. So this is kind of, sort of okay. Dash gives us 3 cards, takes no damage, but we get a little space. We do have a blue. We do have 2 blues, which are going to let us buy back both of our daggers with Cindra. Unfortunately, the Lava Burst says that we cannot dagger, break, chain, play out the rest of our hand. We do need to send dagger, dagger, burning blade, Lava Burst. But Dash just playing the Teklo Core gives us some space here. It means that she can keep 1 card from her next hand and still do something. Maybe she can 1-card throttle for 6, or she can zipper hit, pulse wave harpoon, something that says we have to give her 2 cards. But at least we are threatening damage here. We are forcing her to respond to us. We get more value out of this hand by playing out a single combat chain rather than breaking the chain and attacking with Lava Burst for 2. The Burning Blade Dance gets a card from Dio. The Lava Burst gets 2 cards from her. There is a world where she has 2 items in hand and just dies. But we will see. We're still expecting that we're going to put her down to 1 card in hand. We get 2 red 4-power attacks, which is really nice. We could still just be dead here. Thankfully, we draw some 3 blocks in case of a throttle. And the fact that it is Teklo Core number 2 says that the game probably just ends. We get to brand, hot on their heels, Lava Vein Loyalty, Compounding Anger for a 4-card 14. We get to buy back both of our daggers for free. Cindra has, Dash.io has just pitched an item, which is great news for us. She only has 3 cards left to block our entire hand, which means that even if she blocks brand, hot on their heels, Lava Vein Loyalty, she just takes 5 from Compounding Anger and dies. So, very close game. I feel like we stumbled pretty early this game. We had effective hands, efficient plays, but they weren't going over the top. We found Wrath of Retribution a little too late to get the maximum value out of it. We never saw Spreading Flames. We're only now seeing Compounding Anger. So we never had these double finisher turns that we could make happen and maybe get Blood Runs Deep value out of our Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. So kind of a nothing game from us here. We had the Dio find Spark to play the Cerebellum Processor. She found a maximum velocity, going almost 2 full points of value above us hand to hand. It felt like this was our game to lose, and we still managed to pull it out. So I think that Cindra has some legs in this format. She is an effective aggro deck, and I like the way that she can play out her turn cycles. It's just going to be about finding the edge in those assassin matchups to turn her from sort of that tier 2 play for fun, Draconic Ninjas are cool deck into a tier 1 threat. And we'll see in Memphis this weekend if someone smarter than I am can figure it out, but hopefully you can take this deck and run with it. I think the Pouncing Lynx version is much more effective than Mask of Momentum, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something from it. If so, be sure to head jab that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you have not already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It is free. It helps me out a lot. I have a Blue Sky, a Discord, and a Patreon, all of which you can find in the video description, as well as a link to this deck if you'd like to try it for yourself. I will be back later this week with more daily FaB gameplay, and until then, take care.